Hey, welcome to Retro Sports Hub Podcast. This is your host, Sean Larkin, where the past is always present. Hey, hope you're having a great day. Today's podcast is going to be around a topic that's pretty frustrating for me, and it's called flopping. And anybody that knows sports knows what that's all about. But before I forget, make sure to hit the subscribe button. Love to have you follow the podcast and just share with anybody that you think might have an interest in hearing some old retro topics, and flopping would be one of them. Anybody my generation, Generation X, would probably they're going to enjoy some of this stuff. But let's jump into. I'm gonna pull a just from the NBA, where I think that's one of the areas I see is very frustrating as far as that goes. But in 2023, the NBA introduced flopping rules, and which is funny that you have to create rules for stuff like that. It's just kind of asinine anyway, but just an overview of those. The in-game penalty of player caught flopping, defined as a physical act that reasonably appears to be intended to cause the officials to call a foul on another player, will be assessed a non-sportsmanlike technical foul. The opposing team gets a free throw. Basically, they pick whoever they want to shoot the free throw. No post-game fines. Unlike previous seasons, there are currently no additional fines or suspensions for flopping incidents. And of course, I'll just note this, subject to change. They may come out with some kind of ruling that changes it with the upcoming season. I don't know. We're in summer league right now, so I don't know. They're always looking at ways to change things and supposedly make the sport better. But anyway, so that's their definition. And it's something that I pulled theirs because, every league has probably got some different rules on that. And I know that NCAA has got, I think there's some variations of that rule out there as well. But for me, flopping is just very frustrating. And frankly, this podcast is going to be more of a rant than it is a podcast. And for the lack of a better way of saying it, I think a lot of podcasts are rants about topics. And that's cool. You either listen to it, you don't listen to the whole thing, turn it off. That's your prerogative. But I wanted to definitely talk about this a little bit. And I'm going to hit some different things, so reel the time clock back. I'm 53. So prime time for me. The influential era for me was, you're looking at the late 70s and the 80s into the 90s. Of course, then I got married and had kids and that sort of thing. So sports watching was not as impactful to me as it was in those eras. So if you look back at those eras particularly, you can go the different sports. You can talk about baseball where you get hit by a pitch and, you could have a brawl, it was a different era for sure, and these unwritten rules, that's a whole nother podcast topic. But baseball, I think, notoriously has some of the dumbest unwritten rules. But, it used to be a guy would hit a home run, and if he'd stare at it for a second or two, and then start running around the bases, I promise you the next time he got up, he was going to get either hit by a pitch or he was going to get some chin music, as they like to say, that would back him off the plate to let him know that that's not, we're not going to have that. And, so that was, baseball. And football is, holy cow, football, the rules have changed so much. When I was, it's funny, you look at, where football has come from as far as the protection of players, particularly quarterbacks. And I get it when you're spending, 100 million, that's chump change now, 500 million for Mahomes over a contract and other guys that are approaching that. You want to protect them as much as you can. I get it. But man, you look back in the 1970s, Terry Bradshaw won 4 Super Bowls. I hate the Steelers, but that dude got just annihilated every week. He got hit hard and often, and his defensive line did the same thing to their opponents. It's pretty commonplace. Those guys would just get drilled, and very rarely were there even, penalties. And this is not really a flopping thing. This is just kind of the general, and that's what the tone of this whole podcast can be about. It's just kind of the tone of just the way the physicality of these sports have changed. And, you look back at those 70s and 80s and really into the 90s. I mean, you still had the quarterbacks started to get protected a little bit more, but, even into the 90s, the quarterbacks were getting hit pretty hard. And now you had Tom Brady and Peyton Manning and these guys. And now, especially in this era, these guys, you can't even hardly touch them without getting either a penalty or, what have you, and really it just doesn't, it's changed the play of the game dramatically. And then if you look at the NBA, that's a whole nother thing. And what was interesting is, right now you've got James Harden and LeBron and other players that are notorious for flopping, where they get touched and, they act like, somebody's hit them with the truck or whatever. And it's, and it's all done to get them to the foul line, to sell to the referees that, they were fouled and, it's a dirty play and, et cetera. And, and now you get some replays of these things and to see, was it a hard foul or whatever. You see the same thing in college basketball where, a guy will get fouled and there's some little drama in there, maybe not. Well, it's a form of flopping. I mean, the drama is, go to replay to see how hard the foul was. I mean, give me a break. Just play the game. I mean, these games are dragging out into a massive amount of time, and so you're seeing it, it's going through sports for sure. And looking at the NBA, I thought this was interesting. So I went back into the 60s and said, what was Wilt Chamberlain's free throws per game? This is attempts, not makes, because he was notoriously a terrible free throw shooter. He had 5.8 free throws a game back in the 60s. And keep in mind that the NBA back then, the game revolved around the center, and they were hacked and pushed and knocked around all the time. 5.8 is not a lot of free throws, and he touched the ball a lot. Kareem in the 70s, six attempts a game. Again, same deal. I mean, the 70s were just, it was a rough era for the NBA as far as just the play, style of play. And then you go into the 80s with Michael Jordan at 8.2. The guy went to the basket a lot. So he should have been getting fouled a lot. And, there were hard fouls. I mean, there was no flopping. I mean, you can watch Jordan. I don't know if you'd ever find one where he added any drama into a foul. And then you go fast forward to the era we're in with James Harden at 8.3 fouls, free throws attempted a game. And, a lot of flops, a lot of just garbage that he creates that, the way the rules are written now, even with these flopping rules, you've got these situations where they're getting these fouls. And it just makes the games unwatchable, in my opinion, a lot of times. And, so the NBA is part of that. The NFL has changed a lot where the rules are soft, in my opinion, and more restricted on, what these guys can do and can't do. I don't know if Ronnie Lott could even get through a full season without being suspended the way he used to hit people back in the 80s for the 49ers. And then, God forbid there be a soccer match, whatever you call it. Just talking soccer as far as the international game. I'm not going to call it football because it's not football to me. Soccer players are the absolute worst as far as I'm concerned. I happened to be in a restaurant that we were at 3 weeks ago, I think, and they had a soccer match on, and I look up, and this guy, I mean, literally, I think a fly hit him, and he fell down, grabbing his ankle like the world had come to an end, and it was just pathetic. I mean, I don't watch soccer for a variety of reasons, but that probably went up to the top of the list. And my wife was like, what's gotten under your skin? And I said, this soccer match, and it's the flopping, it's just the drama. It's like, just play the game. Why is that so hard? I don't understand. It's just ridiculous. And, my rant about this is, it's really more of a rant than anything because it's not going to change. And one other thing I want to mention too, while I'm on this, and then I'm gonna hit on my own people here at UK and this is just my take on it, but one of the things you'll see in college football is pace of play, where some teams play at a fast clip. And I get it. I love it when it's a 2-minute drill concept where you're trying to get the ball down the field and kind of catch the defense where they can't make those substitutions for, rest or what have you. And I know it's strategy, but Stoops, and this is my 2 cents on it, he's got guys that are ready to fall down and grab a leg or a knee or acting like they've got a cramp, and it's to slow the other team down and to get an injury timeout or whatever goes along with that. And it's really pretty frustrating to see that on my own guys. And so I just wish he wouldn't do that. If you can't be conditioned and be prepared to handle situations like that in game, that's a management problem, in my opinion. And all of this is my opinion, take it or leave it. But I'm of the old school. You're probably going to hear me say this in more podcasts. No blood, no foul. Go out there and play the game. I mean, good grief. Play within the rules, but geez, these flopping rules and all this crap don't need to be there. Just play. And, anyway, I've been meaning to do this one I've only done a few podcasts so far, but it's one that's been on my mind, especially after it being at that restaurant a couple weeks ago and seeing that. I'm like, this is ridiculous. So anyway, that's the rant for the day, flopping and just soft play in general. Just can't stand it. This is Sean Larkin, the host of Retro Sports Hub podcast. Make sure to subscribe to this, and I'll be bringing some more. I've got a couple more Legends type podcasts I'm bringing out soon. But thanks for tuning in today, and I look forward to your comments and hope you have a great day. And we'll catch you next time on the next podcast. Have a great one.